Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven, and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some pro-revenge stories, and our first story of the day is by Dragonpora. Do not mess with my family, I will destroy you. Okay, so this goes way back and still leaves me fuming. Background, I will call myself Daisy, qualified as a mechanical engineer in the mid-1980s working in textiles in a little African country, Players. Ed the consultant with carte blanche. Ed was there to assess performance but also investigate why a profitable company takes a nosedive within 18 months. The villains are Bob, Nob, and Bon. I was part of a management team employed on behalf of an NGO, non-government organization, company funded by the Commonwealth and IMF, International Monetary Fund, to help set up viable labor-intensive industry for this country in the mid-1990s. To start with, this was a dream job. Free luxury accommodation in a secured village with tennis courts, swimming pool, free utilities like electric, water, and telephone landline. No internet at that time and no mobiles in this region. Free private schooling for my 3 children, a monthly allowance, note, not salary, and a great pension. The catch was that my husband was not allowed to work permanently. He could consult for companies but not be employed as part of the work and residential permit process. I was the total breadwinner. I was respected by the management team and my employees. I loved the people of this nation, the culture, the warmth, and the willingness to learn even if the majority of the employees were illiterate. I helped set up schools to improve their verbal and written skills, not only in English, but also in the local official language. I woke each day ready to tackle the challenge and see the company flourish and become profitable. The company becomes very profitable, and as part of agreement with the CDC, Commonwealth Development Corporation, and International Monetary Fund, it needs to be sold to investors in this country as a profitable venture with the caveat that all local employees remain in employment for 18 months. The order books were full, the bank balance very healthy on the day the new owners came in. The new owners have their headquarters in Southeast Asia. This is when the troubles began. New CEO Nob and CFO Bon come in, and first order of the day is to remove the majority of the previous management and bring their team in. I was told in no uncertain terms that as a female, I should be home breeding and not working. My time was up. Humph. The company starts losing money within 9 months. This new team started blaming the local employees. This meant that the head office sent in an independent observer, we'll call him Ed, to feed back proposals to the group's CEO in Southeast Asia. This is important for later. I had to have medical leave for 8 weeks, and whilst on medical leave, the CEO makes the decision to cut off free private education for my children and no more free utilities or food allowance without adjusting my allowance. Remember, as a true expat, the company owns you totally. I made a formal complaint, but was told if I did not like it, the company would inform the country government that I had been fired due to not being qualified. This would have meant 48 hours to leave the country with no support from the company. This means my family would lose everything and become destitute. On my return to work, they demote me and place their own man to run my previous department, engineering and maintenance. I go to introduce myself to my new manager, let's call him Bob. Bob refuses to shake hands and states that he is there to make my life heck and get me fired. I saw red. No one threatens my family's well-being and gets away with it. He was the only spokesman for the senior management. Payback is needed. I decide to start investigation on what is going on. In the 12 months that this new management team has taken over, the company is now in serious debt. New equipment that has been installed by the NGO previously has to be sold to help pay salaries. The pension fund was found to be underfunded, explained as the NGO having taken money out. This management team has somehow brought over extended families that were all being educated in top universities, either in South Africa or even the UK, as well as top private schools in the region for the younger children. There was also extended house staff and drivers. All of this coming out as losses in the company's book. To top it up, I find out that my new manager's university doctorate degree was fake. This management team treated the local staff as subhuman. I had had enough of this BS. Time to sort these workers out. Stage 1. Prove current boss is not qualified in what he says he is. talk to Ed about my suspicion, show him the transcript from telephone conversations with the university that he has a PhD from, and we set a trap. We have a set of machines that are seriously underperforming. Ed and me work out a plan where I walk into the lead meeting late. I was to be quiet until Ed asked. We wanted to give Bob enough rope. In the meeting, I sit quietly whilst Bob blames the local operators and the local maintenance fitters for all the woes that are happening and reasons why we can't meet the order book demands. Ed sweetly asks if there's a possibility of a mechanical issue, and Bob denies it. Ed then asks me for my opinion. I explain that Bob has been changing suppliers of critical components to cheaper versions, but somehow they still cost the same on the official books. I had evidence that demonstrates that Bob was receiving a significant percentage of the difference on the side. I also stated that I could fix the problem using some of the correct components. If I was wrong, then by all means I could be fired. Ed sets a challenge to me and Bob, each one of us has a team of fitters and our chosen components. Bob storms the shop floor and does his usual screaming at everyone. I go down and explain what I was trying to achieve and how it would benefit the operators and get the project going. At the end of the week, I have to report back to management team. Ed had asked a few operators, mechanics, and production supervisors how Bob worked and if there was any attempt to sabotage my project. Needless to say, Bob tried everything. Ed gives Bob a chance to come clean, but Bob still stated I was a liar and knew nothing. Ed stands up, goes to the door, opens it, and outside is Bob's family. Ed had organized drivers and contacts to fly to South Africa, pick up all the children from schools and universities, and for those in UK, the university was informed no company funds would be forthcoming. Then he proceeded to give each of Bob's family plane tickets for the following morning. Company security guards and police were sent with Bob to his bank where these funds were frozen due to fraudulent transactions. He accepted a plea bargain. He will not be welcome in Africa ever, and his home country police were informed when Bob landed in his home country, the head office had organized a police escort. Basically, he was unemployable and his family greatly shamed. I hope he got his just desserts, couldn't care less. Stage 1 complete. Stage 2, the final event, proved Nob and Bon had been defrauding the company and country. Nob and Bon were still in charge of the company. This is now 18 months from takeover. The stated clause that the workforce could not be touched was up, and Nob and Bon called an all-side meeting. They stood up front with tears running down on how the NGO had lied about the company orders and profitability, how they are trying their best, but the company is really struggling and people will lose their jobs. I had been working closely with Nob and Bon's secretary, so I had been able to access the info needed. Survival kicked in. As I was part of the original management team, I had the original accounts that were audited as part of the CDC and IMF funding for the NGO. In between, I accumulated information on the losses being shown and the missing money going offshore into private accounts and not the head office accounts. You see, these two did not respect women or the locals and assumed that what was being done would not be picked up. If they had bothered to understand who they employed in the office, they would have found that the purchase officer and the accounting supervisor were qualified accountants with close links to government and the banks. And they were, you're right, women. I had explained that there would be a time when we needed evidence to safeguard the money and people's livelihood. So the files had been building from when they were in 6 months to now a year later. Nob announces that 66% of the staff will have to be let go. Again, I talked to Ed and give him the evidence we had been accumulating. Nob calls me to the office to tell me that I am redundant with immediate effect and that to be able to stay in the country to sort out my family, I would now owe the company rent that was twice my given allowance. I lost it. I literally turned around and explained that in less than 24 hours, he would have no future. His family would have no future. No matter where they run, they would be found. I knew this to be true, as Ed already had the wheels in motion. This time, the group chairman walks in on my heated conversation together with the IMF representative and Bon in tow. Nob was fired on the spot, loaded onto a plane with an international warrant for fraud. The IMF pursued this fully. they were screwed. In this Southeast Asian country, a stain on your trustworthiness means you are untouchable. As for me, well, the company limped along, but I no longer trusted anyone from that group. Myself and my husband found employment in another regional country. This time, both of us had work permits and also had airtight contracts. No one will ever screw us over or make us feel like slaves. The message was, do not threaten my children or my family. I will destroy you by waiting until you hang. Not proud, just realistic. In situations like these where you see one main awful person getting taken down, and as a result, their entire immediate family gets affected too, do you feel bad for the immediate family, or do you feel like because of what the guy did, they all had it coming? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Feminine Throwaway. Trying to take me home? Better make sure I am who you think. Alright, so to understand the story, you have to understand a few things about me. I am a 19-year-old guy, bi, with a boyfriend. I'm often told I have a very feminine body. I've posted in femboy subs here and there with positive response, but this is a throwaway and I'm not going to link anything for privacy reasons. I was out on a date a few weeks ago with my boyfriend, who I'll refer to as Alex, 20. For storytelling's sake, I'll go by Liam. We had just finished a movie date and decided to roam the dark streets of nightly New York City afterwards, just to chat and spend time together, as we don't live together. It's important to note that I was dressed up, like a girl. I'm talking a crop top and skirt, plus some thigh highs. Come for me all you want, I like to feel pretty. I was waiting outside the convenience store while Alex grabbed some snacks when a tall man, early 20s and dressed like your local dealer, walked up to me and tried to act sexy. I'll refer to him as Creep. "What's up, baby? You know you shouldn't be out here so late, all alone." I said nothing. "Now, come on, babe. When a man speaks to you, you respond. How about we go back to my place?" Now, here's something I haven't mentioned. I have a high-ish voice. Still masculine, but high enough to where, if I try, I can muster up a good female voice, so I do. No, not interested. "Come on, I don't bite. I just want to have a little fun." He got closer. I shook my head. At this point, Alex comes out with a bag of our snacks and notices the scene. Alex says, "Everything all right, babe?" "Babe, what? You're with this loser? Come on, let me show you what a real man can do for you." He put his hand on my hip. Alex started to walk forward, but I signaled for him to stay back. I had a plan. I put my hand on Creep's, then wrapped his arm around me and cuddled into his chest. He smelled like cigarettes, disappointed parents, and failed dreams. I look up at him, still in my girl voice. "Oh, him? Don't mind him. If you want me..." Then I switch to my normal voice. "Then you can have me." Immediately, he pushes me into Alex's arms and storms off, yelling obscenities mixed with a few homophobic slurs here and there, plus some transphobia tossed in for good measure. Me and Alex both go into hysterical laughter, nearly falling over each other. Once we calm down, he looks to me. "You're really an a-hole. You've got to stop doing that to guys," he chuckled. "Hey, they all approached me." As amazing and hilarious as this is, I would also say just be careful, because getting that close to a creep, regardless of their intention, regardless of what they may be into, you don't know if they've got some kind of weapon or something, what their reaction would be to being tricked like that. I love this revenge, but you also gotta be careful. And our final story of the day is by All That Razzmatazz. Cut in line? End up in a random neighborhood? This is part my revenge, part that of a shopping mall employee in Dubai and his colleague. This took place in Dubai. Don't go there, don't live there. I was at a shopping mall with a taxi line so long that it stretched down the hallway. To get us to the front took us almost 45 minutes, but with extremely limited public transportation, we and all the other suckers in line had no other choice. When we were close to the front, a tourist-looking couple just came and stood next to us, like they were with us and were going to cut in front of everyone else waiting so long. I told them in English they had to go wait at the end. I could tell by their annoyed expressions that they understood, but the man tried to pretend he didn't speak English and mumbled something in German at me. No problem, I also speak German, so I told them in German to get to the end of the line. They wouldn't go, so I got louder and more insistent. The man got more insulting but wouldn't leave. We all got to the front, where I told the mall employee that this couple was not with us, was instead both queue jumping and harassing us. There is a social and racial hierarchy in Dubai. Seriously, don't go there. The South Asian mall taxi queue worker cannot anger a white tourist, who themselves cannot anger a Gulf Arab, etc. What he can do, which I knew, is put them on a shuttle bus. This bus was created to handle long taxi lines when the wait exceeds 1 hour. The official plan is to take people to central areas where they can get a taxi more easily. At only 45 minutes wait, it wasn't running yet, but it was there with a driver in the expectation of running soon, and the mall employee offered it to the couple just for them. The couple didn't want to go, but I informed them that insult is a jailable crime in Dubai. I had a group of witnesses of how he insulted me. All the while, the mall employee was so polite, saying, "Sir, please come with me, I have a solution for you." However, that solution was not a shuttle ride to a central tourist area with taxi stands. It's a solution for the mall, not the shoppers. That driver took that couple to a non-sexy area of Deira, an older area of Dubai of limited interest to those tourists, and probably one of the hardest places in the city to find a taxi or their way back to the hotel. They would have figured it out eventually, but it would have taken them much longer to get where they were going than if they just had waited in line. I think it's safe to say that just about everybody hates a line cutter. Just deal with where you are in line, stay in line, and eventually you'll get to the front. Being a daring jerk and trying to cut might pay off, but if you try it, don't be surprised when it explodes in your face tragically. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today, so if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So, until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.